Now season 3 isn't that much different from the other seasons. Look, you got creative. That's still the same in that other game mode. Anyway, something tells me you want to make a Zone Wars map for season 3 to show off to mom and dad so they take your career path as a gamer less personally. So that's what we're going to do today. No playing around, we're just going to slip right in. Step 1, you're going to want to set up an island start area for your players to have a moment to gather themselves before the game starts. This means placing 16 spawn pads in this area, and it can be whatever you want. It can be separate from the actual map. Each spawn pad you'll just need to change visible during games to no. Now let's figure out which player spawn aesthetic configuration you as a designer prefer to go with. You can get your spawn separated in different areas, or you can have them stacked on each other. In this video, we're going to look at how we set up a stacked spawn. If you want them to be separated, you just use the same spawn pad settings, and if you want to use barriers as well, you would just use the same settings on the barrier we do here, and then put a barrier in every separate spawn. Now to make the stacked spawn, you'll want to build a structure similar to what I've shown in diagram 1. Now every spawn pad we place in these rooms needs to be configured this way. Priority group primary, island start no, visible during games no, and when player spawned, transmit channel 100. Now place a barrier about right here in the middle of your stack. You can give it a cool color. I set mine to blue force field, then set blocks weapon fire to yes, and adjust the width and depth so that it blocks off every room in the spawn stack. This barrier will only be active for the first few seconds of the round, and then we can shut it off to let the players out once they've had a moment to prepare. On this barrier, we can set disable when receiving from channel 90. And in these videos, you can really use any channel you want. I'm just using this as an example for the video. Let's say we want the barrier to only be up for the first 5 seconds of the round. We place a trigger, set the delay to 5 seconds, set trigger when receiving from channel 100, which transmits from our player's spawn, and then when triggered, transmit on channel 90, which will in turn, after 5 seconds of being triggered, turn off our barrier. Now let's put a storm in really quick. Just grab a basic storm controller, rotate it so the satellite on it is pointing the direction you want the storm to go, and place it. Now in the settings, we can set it to generate on game start, yes. Set the initial radius to a size that allows your players just a bit of room around them in total. You can use the pink ring around the controller as a reference, and set the end radius to 0. The wait time is how long it will be before the storm actually starts moving, so we can turn this to about 10 seconds. The resize time is how long the storm will take to go from this big to this big. I set mine to 2 minutes for the map I made. We can leave storm damage at 10%, or you can turn it down if you're a weenie. Our minimum distance is basically how far the storm will set its end location at the very least, and our maximum is the same thing but at the furthest. And the controller will randomly decide a location between these distances for the storm to shrink to. The move time is how long it takes for the storm to center itself over the final location it's decided to go to. If you have a really slow resize time but a really fast move time, the storm will get to the final area quickly while staying pretty big, and then shrink down as the resize time continues to tick downwards. Or on the other hand, having a fast resize time and a slow move time will just shrink the storm quickly while it slowly inches to its end location. I recommend playing with these settings to get a perfect feel for your map and intended difficulty. Now, do you want your players to all have the same loadout or randomized items? We'll go over both methods, but for the same loadout method, I'll include how to do emote for a tactical shotgun instead of a pump or a charged shotgun. At the time of doing this video, they haven't added charged shotguns into creative even though it's been like a week, so for your players to all get the same loadout, you'll be placing down an item granter. Set receiving players to all, on grant action keep all, grant all items, grant on cycle yes, give extra ammo no, and we'll set grant item when receiving from channel 10. This one's going to be just for a pump or a charged shotgun if they've added it. So drop that in along with all of the weapons and items, ammo and mats that you want your players to have. Once you've done that, copy and paste this item granter, and on the new one, click on the settings, click clear items, and make sure to click OK once you've done that. If you don't press OK, it won't actually clear the items out. And once you've done that, you can drop your Tac Shotgun and then all the same weapons as the last loadout. All you're changing here is the shotgun, and then drop the same amount of ammo as the other one. No need to drop any mats on this one, and I'll show you why in a second. Going into this one's settings, set receiving player to triggering player so that only players that emote will get attack. Set on grant action to clear items so it only gets rid of the normal shotgun loadout and none of the mats. And then set it to grant item when receiving from channel 20. Now place a trigger. Set trigger when receiving from channel 100, and when triggered, transmit on channel 10. And then you also want to go in the options and set times can trigger to just 1. The reason for this is if 16 players spawn, loot is going to be granted 16 times to all players if we're using the spawn pad signals. And that's just going to make everyone's inventory flash a bunch of times, and since we have the granter set to keep all, your player will end up getting a lot of extra items for free just dropping around them. So making sure that this only happens once is imperative. In order to detect when our player is emoting, we can place a mutator zone. Make sure you place this device in a spot so that it covers all of the player's spawn positions. And then also make sure that allow weapon fire and allow building are both set to yes. Scroll down and set on player starts emoting, transmit channel 20. You will also want to let your players know that they have the option of doing this by giving them a message at the start of the round. So go ahead and place a HUD message device, and then type in a message like emote for Tac Shotgun. Then set message recipient to all, time from round start to 1 second, display time for 5 seconds. The text style is up to you. I'll set mine to extra large so everyone can easily read it. Set the message priority to critical, and that just means it'll always pop up quicker or show itself over other messages. And placement can be top center. Now I'm going to show you how to give all of your players random loadouts. You can start by placing an item granter, go into the settings and set receiving players to triggering player, on grant action keep all, grant current item, grant on cycle yes, give extra ammo no, cycle behavior wrap, and set cycle to random item when receiving from channel 100. This will grant a random item out of this item granter when receiving that signal, which is our spawn pad signal. Before dropping any items on this granter, you want to go ahead and copy it so you can save the same settings and paste it until you have 6 of them. And now go back to the first one, and you only want to drop shotguns in this one, basically the ones you want available in all of their different tiers. Drop those in, don't worry about the ammo, and move on to the next item granter. In this one, we're only going to drop SMGs in it, and all of the different tiers and SMGs we want available. And the next one after that can be for healing items. Sometimes I just like to put healing items in both of these last ones just to dilute the wildcard weapons a little bit, it's up to you. And the last item granter will be used to grant ammo and mats. So drop the ammo and mats you want your players to have onto this item granter, and then after that, go into the settings and set receiving players to all players, grant all items, and instead of using cycle to random item, we'll use grant item when receiving from channel 10. Now to finally make this work, you'll place a trigger, set trigger when receiving from channel 100, and when triggered, transmit on channel 10. And then make sure to set times can trigger to just 1, so our ammo and mats only go out to every player 1 time at the beginning of the round. I also added a 1 second delay as a personal preference. You don't have to do it, but I'm just telling you so you know. Wink wink. Lastly, I will bestow upon you the knowledge of what island settings you need to have for a Zone Wars game mode. In game settings, set voice chat to all, teams to free for all, spawn limit to 1, total rounds can be 10 or whatever you want. You can set time limit to unlimited or something like 10 minutes. Set last standing ends game to on. Set join in progress to spawn on next round. Elimination score is up to you. I've set mine to 3 and the assist score to 1. Now go to the settings tab. You can use time of day to determine whether your map is bright or dark. Set starting shields to 100%. Infinite ammo and resources off. Max building resources should be 500. Harvest style battle royale. Structure damage enemy and self built. Eliminated players items to drop. Fall damage on. Glider redeploy off. Player names and locations always hide. Health granted on elimination to 50. And you also have the option to grant materials on elimination 2 if you want. In the UI tab, I suggest lowering the game score and round score display time so it isn't 15 seconds. Set HUD info type to score. Show cumulative stat, yes. Set the tiebreakers however you want. And also you should set game end callout to placement so players know what placement they had. Let me know in the comments what kind of video you'd like to see on a channel like mine. Thank you for watching the video. See ya.